Hello all, and welcome to today's webinar on protecting yourself from scams. My name is James Fleming, and I look after the Fraud Risk and Advisory team here at CommBank, which is a fancy way of saying my job is to protect CommBank customers from fraud and scams. I'm joined by my colleague, Zoe Ma.
Thanks, James. Hi everyone, I'm Zoe. My role here at CommBank is Group Fraud Customer Experience Manager. Essentially, I just look after all the fraud and scams education and awareness pieces.
Thanks. So in today's webinar, we're going to look at some of the most common types of scams and how you can avoid them. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting today. I would also like to pay my respects to the elders, both past and present. Now, no bank presentation will be complete without a legal disclaimer to begin with. I'll leave this up for a moment for you to read. Now I'd like to hand over to Zoe to start us off with our first section.
Before we continue, let's look at the difference between a scam and fraud. People use these terms often, but it's important to note that they mean very different things. Fraud is where an unauthorised third party is making a transaction. Often this occurs when fraudsters exploit a security vulnerability to complete transactions without the victim's knowledge. A scam is where a person is making a payment they believe is genuine, for example, an investment, a love interest, or to purchase an item online, but it turns out it's a scam. Today, we'll be deep diving into different scam types and how to protect yourself from these. So to continue, I'd like to set the scene of the impact of scams. A recent report by the ACCC revealed that in 2022, Australians lost over $3 billion to scams, with $569 million worth of scams reported to ScamWatch. This is almost 80% higher than the previous year. As you can see from the graph, the highest impact of scams is to the cohort of ages 65 plus. However, if you look at the other groups, no one is entirely excluded, as all ages have been impacted and falling victim to scams, with some cohorts not far behind ages 65 plus. According to ScamWatch, the top 3 scams are investment, romance, and false billing, which is also known as business email compromise. This is also aligned with what we're seeing in industry and in CommBank. One thing to note here is that this is only the loss that was reported to ScamWatch, which means the overall figure for scam losses are a lot higher, as many people don't report scam incidences due to embarrassment, shame, or fear. I'm sure everyone watching this webinar has received a suspicious SMS or even a phone call pretending to be from your internet provider or bank. I know I've received a few in the last week. The Australian Banking Association reported that 66% of Australians fend off a scam every week. On screen, you can see the different ways that scammers contact victims. 33% of scams were reported to be from text messages, 29% were from phone calls, and 22% were from emails. Scammers can contact victims in a number of ways, and here are just some examples on screen. We have phishing scams pretending to be from CommBank. We have scams pretending to be from a well-known organisation, and we've got the hi mum, hi dad scam pretending to be from a family member, and also romance and also investment scams. Some can be easy to spot, and some are just a little bit harder.
Thanks, Zoe. We've gone through some of the alarming stats on scams and how scammers contact their victims. Now we're going to look at the various scam types. Before we do this, I'd like to go through the anatomy of a scam to set the scene here. So, why are scams so effective? Scammers play on our emotions, our kindness, our trust, our respect for authority, ambition, and fears. They can contact anyone out of the blue and often will target an individual at a particular time in their life, such as a relationship breakdown, loss of job, or any other situation which enhances an individual's vulnerability. Scams can often look like genuine businesses or opportunities, with official-looking documents, professional websites, experts well-versed in industry or technical speak. On the screen now we have some of the common scam types which we'll run through. As Zoe noted, scammers can contact you through a variety of mediums, including phone, SMS, messaging apps, and social media. We have remote access scams, investment scams, and business email compromises, which we'll go through in further detail on the following slides. SMS and email scams. Now, as Zoe mentioned, a number of you would have received unsolicited text messages requesting you to click on a link or call a particular number to fix a problem. Here, scammers bait customers into clicking on links and having them enter their banking credentials, card details, personal information, or a combination of all three. Job scams. These are where a job opportunity presents itself, which usually requires minimal effort compared to the large financial reward promised. Often, the requirement, under the guise of completing a job for someone, requires you to receive and disperse these funds to multiple accounts, with you receiving a fee or percentage of funds you move. These scammers have essentially recruited you to become a money mule to move illicit funds on their behalf. Relationship and romance scams. These are certainly not new and involve scammers targeting individuals often when they're at their most vulnerable. A conversation will be struck up, and eventually there'll be a request for money because said new romance is stuck overseas somewhere, has medical bills they can't afford, or another issue they're allegedly facing. Sometimes, we see a relationship scam morph into an investment scam, where instead of requesting funds for a problem they're facing, they show them an investment opportunity they've used to make solid financial returns. And due to the fact they haven't asked the victim directly for money, but have offered a way they can make this on their own, it adds to the perceived legitimacy of the scam. Threat and penalty scams. These are more common among certain cultures where the scammer uses the threat of a financial penalty or physical harm to you or your family to extort funds from you. And finally, online shopping scams. And we've all seen these, a website offering goods at say 80% off the recommended retail price. More often than not, this is a scam, where the victim pays the money, however, the goods are never delivered, the website is shut down, and the scammers have moved on to the next one.
Thanks, James. Let's take a look at one of the scams using phishing. There's two types of phishing. There's net phishing and there's spear phishing. Just like a fisherman casts a wide net to catch lots of fish, with net phishing, the scammer can send the same message with a suspicious link to thousands of phone numbers. They're hoping that at least a few of the recipients will respond and click on the fraudulent link. With spear phishing, just like using a spear, the scammer might target a victim by tailoring the message for them by gathering data already compromised online or through social media. Often, these texts are convincing. They've usually got a sense of urgency to click on a suspicious link, and they're often out of the blue. They can pretend to be from your network provider, financial institution, postal delivery service, or toll service. The important thing to do here when you receive a phishing message is to never click on any unusual links or provide any personal details. I'll now hand it over to James to talk on investment scams.
Investment scams. Scammers play on a number of emotions here, including the fear of missing out. You will see your friends, family members, and others making generous returns on legitimate investments. They will also play on your hope and potential need for an investment to pay off, often at a certain life stage, for instance, a recent job loss or various debts accruing. You may be suspicious of an investment but are blinded by your need for it to be legitimate. There are also a lot of AI investors claiming they have AI technology that can beat the market and secure large returns. And the rise of generative AI is making it even harder to distinguish between genuine and non-genuine. Celebrities and well-known entities have had their likeness abused. Think of how many times you've seen Paul Kochi from Channel 7 allegedly spruiking an investment product with guaranteed high rates of returns. Even our CEO has had his likeness abused through these deepfake videos. Now on the screen we have an example of an investment scam. Note, the victim is being contacted out of the blue and the scammer slowly attempts to get to know the person before dropping in the fact they've made money off a new investment platform, a completely fraudulent one which they own. If you are contacted out of the blue about an investment opportunity, or ever have any doubts as to the legitimacy of one, remember, take the time to speak to a friend, family member or confidant, and always remember to stop, check and reject. Next we have business email compromise scams. There are 4 permutations of this. Email impersonation. This is where a scammer impersonates an employee and sends a, usually urgent, request for a payment to be made. Mailbox compromise. This is where, instead of impersonating the employee's email, they've actually compromised it, so the request for payment has come from the genuine employee's email. Vendor impersonation. Similar to the email impersonation, however, rather than impersonating the employee's email, they're impersonating a vendor or supplier to request payment. And finally, we have vendor mailbox compromise, which is the most common type we see. Here, scammers compromise the mailbox of a supplier or vendor and, when an invoice for goods delivered or services rendered is sent, they'll intercept this, change the account details to one they control, and send the invoice to the desired recipient. Remember, An easy way to combat business email compromises is to always validate the account details through calling the company who provided the invoice on a trusted number. Something we have developed at CommBank to assist here, which you may have read about and even used, is NameCheck. Essentially, CommBank uses the data it has to provide a level of confidence that the account details you've entered belong to the account name that you've entered. I have a short video that articulates this. Finally, we have remote access scams, or RAS for short. Scammers dial thousands of numbers per day using an autodialer. I know a number of you would have received a call, answered, and there is no one on the other end, and you may even hear clicking. A scammer now knows this number is live and will start targeted phone calls. These scammers will often purport to be from a reputable company, even your bank, and present a problem that often involves removing a malware or virus from your computer or securing your online banking accounts. Here, one of two things will happen. One, they'll guide you over the phone on how to send these funds to accounts the scammers control under the guise of securing your accounts. Or two, they'll present an overlay on the screen, often by way of a spinning wheel so it looks like the page is still loading, and they'll execute transfers behind the scenes without your knowledge and request you to read the one-time passcodes that are being sent out to them, something you should never do. Something we've developed at CommBank to help assist in confirming that it is in fact the real CommBank contacting you is that of caller check. Essentially, it serves two purposes. When you're making a call to CommBank, it allows us to identify you in a seamless and efficient way, and when we call you, you know it's CommBank, as we're the only ones who are able to send the notification in the CommBank app. I have another short video that articulates this. Now, we've gone through some of the common scam types and features that we have here at CommBank to assist in combating these. I'm now going to hand over to Zoe to talk about common red flags to look out for and how to further protect yourself.
So, we've gone through some examples. Now, what can we do to protect ourselves? You should never download apps or programs to your phone or computer if someone asks you to. Never give your banking credentials or one-time passwords to anyone, including someone from the bank, over the phone or over the internet. Never click on links or open attachments from unsolicited emails or SMSs. Never make payment by unusual methods. Big companies do not need payments via gift cards, cryptocurrency, or payments to personal accounts. Always protect your identity. Your personal details are private and valuable. Keep them that way. Always know who you're dealing with. Take your time to do some research, even if the people or organisations seem trustworthy. Always confirm new account details over the phone with suppliers. And remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Now, I know that's a lot of information. You're probably thinking, how can I remember everything? Well, if you could take away 3 things from this webinar, it would be stop, check, and reject. Stop. does a call, email, or text seem off, the best thing to do here is stop, take a breath. Real organisations won't put you under pressure to act instantly. Check. Think, how can I confirm this? For example, conduct your own research online or have a chat to a family member or friend. Reject. Hang up on the caller, delete the email, block the phone number, and if you think your account has been compromised, change your passwords. If you're a CommBank customer and you've been a victim of a scam, you can call us on 132221. And if you'd like to report a scam, you can scan this QR code to report cyber. For more information, you can visit the Australian Cyber Security Centre or ScamWatch, and also visit our CommBank Safe website to find a multitude of resources and information on different scam types. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, guys. Remember, if you're ever in doubt, stop, check, and reject.